Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet this bobble stitch blanket that can be made in any size. So for my blanket I used a 5mm crochet hook and worsted weight yarn. So thank you very much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. So to begin your blanket, you want to start off by making a slip knot. So to do a slip knot, take your yarn and take your finger and wrap the yarn around your finger once and then twice. Then take the first loop and pull it over the second loop, and then take the second loop and pull it all the way over your finger. You then want to take your crochet hook, go in through this space and pull tight. And there you have a slip knot. And now once you have your slip knot, we are now going to make our foundation chain. And you can make your foundation chain as long or as short as you like, but the length of your foundation chain will depend on how wide you want your blanket to be. And your foundation chain must also be a multiple of 2. So you could chain 20, 30, 46, 88, 120, 168, 200. It's completely up to you, as long as it is a multiple of 2. And the longer you make your foundation chain, the wider your blanket will be. So make your foundation chain. So I have just finished making my foundation chain, and I am just going to do a little sample size blanket for the sake of this tutorial. So I only chained 32, but you may have a much longer chain. And then once you have your foundation chain, we are ready to move on to round 1. So to begin round 1 of our blanket, you want to chain 1. So we're going to chain 1 on top of our foundation chain. And now we are going to do 1 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So here is the first chain from the hook, and here is the second chain. And into this one, we're going to do 1 single crochet. So to do a single crochet, insert your hook down into that chain, the second chain from the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. So there we have 1 single crochet into that chain. And now insert your hook into the next chain and do 1 single crochet into this one. Then do 1 single crochet into the next chain and 1 into the next, and just continue this all the way along for round 1. 1 single crochet into each and every chain. So I have just finished working that all the way along for round 1. So I did 1 single crochet into every single chain, and you should have the same number of single crochets at the end of this round as you chained for your foundation chain. So say if you chained 100, you should now have 100 single crochets at the end of round 1. And now we are ready to move on to round 2. So to begin round 2, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 and turn never counts as a stitch. So now to start off, we're going to go down into this very first stitch here, and we're going to work 1 double crochet. So yarn over and go down into this very first stitch here, as our chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops on your hook. So there we have 1 double crochet into that first stitch there. And now into the next stitch, we are going to do our first bobble. And when we do a bobble, we are going to do a stitch called 5 double crochets together, all into the same stitch. And when we do 5 double crochets together, we do 5 double crochets, but we do not complete any of them, and then we complete all 5 of them together at the same time. So we're technically turning 5 stitches into 1. So yarn over and go down into the next stitch here, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have started 1 double crochet, but we are not going to finish it. We're going to leave that first double crochet incomplete. So usually we would yarn over and pull through these 2 loops here, but we're not going to do that. We're going to stop here and move on to our second double crochet. So yarn over, go down into the same stitch again, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. But we're not going to complete this double crochet either, so leave this second one incomplete as well and move on to the third one. Yarn over, go down into the same stitch, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have 3 incomplete double crochets all into that same stitch. Now yarn over, go down into the same stitch again and do a 4th incomplete double crochet, and then finally do a 5th one. So there we have done 5 incomplete double crochets all into that stitch, and you should find that you have 6 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now to complete this stitch, yarn over and pull through every single loop on your hook, like that. So there we have done 5 double crochets together, and we have made our very first bobble. So now you want to chain 1 and skip the next stitch here, and then into the next stitch we're going to do another bobble. So we're going to do 5 double crochets together. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, so make sure you skip this next one and go into the next one and do 1 incomplete double crochet, then do a second one, then a third one all into the same stitch, then a 4th, and then finally a 5th. So 5 incomplete double crochets all into that stitch, and you should have 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. And there we have done our next bobble, or our next set of 5 double crochets together all into that same stitch. So now chain 1 and skip the next stitch. And you want to repeat this all the way along for round 2. We're going to do a bobble or 5 double crochets together into 1 stitch, then chain 1 and skip the next stitch. Then a bobble into the next one, chain 1, skip the next stitch, bobble, chain 1, skip the next stitch, all the way along for round 2. So we have done bobble, chain 1, skip the next stitch. So now into this next one we're going to do a bobble, like that, and now chain 1 and skip the next stitch, and then repeat that again. Do a bobble into the next one, and whenever we do a bobble we do 5 double crochets together all into the same stitch. like that, and then chain 1 and skip the next stitch, and just continue this all the way along for round 2. So I'm just coming to the end of round 2, so I have worked that all the way along and done my last set of bobble, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and you should find that you have 1 stitch left at the very end of the round, and into this last stitch we're going to do a double crochet. So yarn over, go into this very last stitch at the very end of the round, and this can be a little bit tricky to get into, and do 1 double crochet. But whilst working this last double crochet, I'm going to change colours. So this is completely optional, and if you want your whole blanket to be in the same colour, then just work 1 double crochet into this last stitch as normal. But if you do want to change colours, then we can change colours now at the end of the round, and then we will have our new colour ready to use for the next round. So we have started the double crochet at the very end, and we have 1 step left to do. So we need to yarn over and pull through these 2 loops at the end. But now we're going to drop the yarn that we were using, and then take our new colour or our new yarn. So I'm going with a green. Place this over the end of your crochet hook and pull it through. And there we have finished the double crochet and finished the round and changed colours at the same time. And now we have our new colour here ready to use for the next round. So once you have done that, you can fasten off the colour that you were using. So I'm going to cut this pink yarn, leaving a tail to weave in or work over later. And now we're ready to move on to round 3. So we are now on to round 3. And to begin this round, you want to chain 1 and turn. And this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So now to begin this round, we're going to go down into this very first stitch here. So this is the last double crochet from last round. And we're going to do 1 double crochet. So 1 double crochet down into this first stitch. So yarn over and go down into the stitch. And I'm actually going to work over my ends from where I changed colours at the end of last round. So I'm going to work over these 2 ends. So go into this first stitch and work 1 double crochet. And now into the first chain 1 space here, so the very first chain 1 space of the round, we are going to do a bobble. And just like last round, whenever we do a bobble, we need to do 5 double crochets together. So yarn over, go down into this first chain 1 space, and I am still working over my ends from where I changed colours. Work 1 incomplete double crochet, then go back down into the same space and do a second one, then do a third one, and a fourth, and a fifth. So there we have 5 incomplete double crochets all into that same chain 1 space there, and you should have 6 loops on your hook and yarn over and pull through all 6. So there we have done our first bobble or our first set of 5 double crochets together into that first chain 1 space. And now you want to chain 1 and skip the next stitch. So skip this first bobble and move on to the next chain 1 space here. And into this space, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do another bobble. So yarn over and go down into this chain 1 space, and I am still working over my ends, and work 5 double crochets together or a bobble. Like that. And now chain 1, skip the next stitch or skip the next bobble, and do the same thing into the next space. 5 double crochets together or a bobble. Like that. And now chain 1 and do the same thing into the next space. And you just want to continue this all the way along for round 3. Into every single chain 1 space, you want to do a bobble and then chain 1. So into every chain 1 space from last round, here, 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 all the way along. Do a bobble into each space or 5 double crochets together and then chain 1. So I'm going to finish off this bobble. Like that. Chain 1 and then move on to the next chain 1 space here and do the exact same thing, and just continue this all the way along for round 3. So you can see we are kind of getting bobbles in between bobbles. And I am still working over my ends from where I changed colours, and I'm going to work over them for quite a while, so probably up to around about here, and then when I feel that they are nice and secure within my blanket, I can cut them off. And that will save me a lot of time at the end of my blanket. So instead of having lots and lots of ends to weave in at the very end, I won't need to do that, as I have worked over them as I have gone along. So but just make sure you work over them for long enough that they are nice and secure. So just continue that all the way along for round 3. So I am just coming to the end of round 3. So I have worked that all the way along, and I have done my last bobble into this last chain 1 space at the end here. So now to finish off the round, we need to chain 1. So do your last bobble into the final chain 1 space, and then chain 1 and skip the last bobble from last round. And then into this last stitch at the end here, so this is a double crochet, we are going to do 1 double crochet. So yarn over and go down into the final double crochet at the end and work 1 double crochet. But whilst doing this double crochet, I'm going to change colours again. So like I said, this is completely optional, and if you don't want to change colours, just work a double crochet as usual. But if you do want to change colours, stop before the very last step of your double crochet, drop the yarn that you were using and take your new colour. So I'm going to go back with a pink, place this over the end of your crochet hook and pull it through. And there we have changed colours and finished the round and the double crochet at the same time. So now you can fasten off the colour that you were using. So I'm going to cut this green yarn, leaving a tail to weave in or work over later. And now we're ready to move on to the next round. So we are now on to round 4. And the rest of our blanket is very simple. We are just going to repeat round 3, so the round that we just did, again and again and again until you feel that your blanket is long enough. So you can do as many repeats as you like. You could do 30 repeats, 40, 50, it's completely up to you. So just keep repeating round 3. So for each round you want to chain 1 and turn. So chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 never counts as a stitch. And then work 1 double crochet down into the very first stitch here. So this is the last double crochet from last round, and I am working over my ends here. And then go down into the first chain 1 space and do a bobble. Like that. So do a bobble down into this very first space, then chain 1 and move on to the next chain 1 space and do a bobble into this one, and just repeat that all the way along. Bobble chain 1, bobble chain 1, and then when you get to the very end, do a bobble into this last chain 1 space here, chain 1, and then finish off with a double crochet into the last stitch at the end, and change colours whilst working that last double crochet if you want to. And then once you have done that all the way along, do that again. So chain 1 and turn, do that all the way back up, then chain 1 and turn, do it all again, and just keep repeating that round again and again and again until you have the length that you want. And then once you have done that, you should have something like this. This is round 1, 2, 3, and then all of these rounds here are just repeats of round 3. So just keep repeating round 3 again and again and again until you have the size blanket that you want. And you can see we get this cute bobble effect. So I have finished repeating that round again and again and again, and this is what I have, and you can do as many rounds as you like. And then when I got to the very end, I fastened off, so pulled my yarn out and my hook and cut my yarn, leaving a tail to weave in later. And then I weaved all of my ends nice and securely into the back of my blanket. So any end that I had not already worked over and then cut off, I weaved nice and securely into the back of the blanket, and I have finished. And then once you have done that, you could add a border to your blanket, but that is completely optional, and I am just going to leave mine the way that it is. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it easy to follow. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos, and in the description box below this video I will leave a link to where you can find my Twitter account. So if you would like to go and follow me on there, I always like to post updates and pictures of upcoming tutorials, and I would love to see photos of your crochet work on Twitter as well. And in the description box I will also leave a link to where you can find some of my written patterns if you are interested. And thank you again for watching. Bye.